Alright people, how you doing? I hope you're having a damn great day. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about PSG and how you can replicate a realistic career mode with them, of course, under the likes of new manager Luis Enrique. Of course, you'll be discussing some of the transfers that you could look to make, some players that you should look to maybe get out the door following a realistic approach, of course, as well as looking at the finances of the team and potentially the youth academy. So now it comes down to a shameless plug moment. I've already replicated 3 various formations that the likes of PSG have used so far this season. Of course, the 4-3-3, the 3-3-1 system, as well as the recently released 4-2-4 system. I released that on Friday, so if you haven't seen any of them and you'd like to replicate them in your game, go ahead, check them out. I'll link at least 2 of them at the end of this video. So now taking a look at the team as a whole, we've got 5 goalkeepers here. It's a bit weird that there's 5. So essentially you've got Kylian Mbappé as your backup. He is in the final 12 months of his deal, so maybe looking to shift him out the door and having the likes of Sergio Rico or the likes of Tenas as your second choice goalkeeper. That could be an option, or potentially getting rid of the likes of Sergio Rico or potentially the likes of Letelier. You've got Donnarumma, who is out and out your number 1 goalkeeper, best goalkeeper at the club currently. I wouldn't look to shift him on. He was recently brought in like 2 years ago, so look to try and build around him, have him as a cornerstone. He is only 24 years of age, so it's one thing to consider. Onto your left backs now. We've got 4 left backs: Nuno Mendes, Lucas Hernandez, who can also shift over and play as a centre back. But then we've got the likes of Kurzawa and Bernat. Now, looking to get these 2 players specifically out the club is probably going to be a must. Bernat, since that massive ACL injury a few seasons ago, he hasn't been the same player. So looking to shift him out, get some money, reinvest it back into the team is probably a must. The likes of Kurzawa as well, brought in from, I think it was Monaco a few seasons ago. Now, this is a little while ago. It hasn't really worked out either. He was out on loan last season at Fulham, came back, final 12 months of his deal, look to try and, shift him on, get some money back for him, and then look to try and reinvest it. Into your centre-back department, we've got the likes of Pereira, Marquinhos, Kimpembe, Skriniar. 4, potentially 5 choices if you consider Lucas Hernandez also as a centre-back. 4 or 5 choices that are really, really strong in an area that I don't think you should try and target or bring in any other specific players for. But knowing PSG, they might just do so. As for your right back department, of course, Mukiele linked with every other club under the sun. He is looking for a move. I don't think it will happen right now in January, but it might. It might. As things stand, he could, have a deal lined up for tomorrow, for the deadline day. I don't know. It depends. But what I do know is Hakimi is a very, very good world-class right back. Now, a natural replacement could be the likes of Colin Dagba. Of course, he does have a real face. He is currently out on loan. So maybe for season number 1, you bear with the likes of Hakimi and Nordi Mukiele. Then you look to sell Mukiele on, and of course, by then, the loan deal would have expired, and you can have a natural replacement for the likes of Hakimi in the likes of Colin Dagba. Into your midfield, we've got the likes of Ugarte. Recently brought in, you'll see I'll be saying recently brought in quite a bit because PSG went on a whole big spending spree in the summer, and they went and brought quite a few good, young, talented players for the future of the side. So, one of them being Ugarte. Now, I think he could be a very good fundamental piece for this midfield. He is the only natural number 6 currently residing in the squad. So in quite a few formations, he is going to be used a lot. And of course, he does bring that temperament, that aggressiveness that you would require from your number 6 in the midfield. Moving on to the number 8, we've got the likes of Fabian Ruiz. Renato Sanchez, probably when he comes back from his loan from Roma, sell him. Another player that you should probably look to sell is Carlos Soler, link with a move away. I think the role that he was promised when signing for PSG and the role that he has currently hasn't really worked out, so he is kind of unhappy, so maybe looking to get him out the door. I think the likes of Aston Villa are linked with him. I could be wrong about that, but a move back to Spain as well is in the cards, potentially. Vitina as well as Zahir Emery, very good players. Of course, Vitina is slightly older, 23, but he's come into his own of late. And of course, we've got a young superstar, can play as a DM as well, but I would look to try and play him more so as a number 8. This is going to be a fundamental building block for this PSG career mode. If you're looking to obviously have a 5, 6, 7, 8 season career mode with the likes of PSG, Zahir Emery should be a part of all 8 of those seasons. Another player here that has recently in real life gotten a move to the likes of, I think it's Braga, and I don't know if it was a loan or if it was a potential actual real life transfer, but I have transfer listed him. I think Indoor leaving and going to Braga makes the most sense, as well as Ethan Mbappé looking to maybe extend his contract and then loan him out for a season or two, get his growth rates up in FC24. I think that would be the most beneficial role for him going forward. Of course, he is 62. He is only 16 years of age. So, there's a few, give and take situations where he could develop into a really good young player. As for the likes of Xavi Simons, depending on how you say it, an attacking midfielder or potentially a winger. Now, he is out on loan for the first season. If the likes of Mbappé does leave in your career mode, do you have a natural replacement for him? And I think this man right here, a superstar in the making, like I say, he's only 20. He's 82 overall. He could be the natural replacement for Mbappé. That's all I'm going to say. A really good, astute signing is Lee Kangan. Can play as a central midfielder as well. That's kind of crazy. I know he's a forward though. So, left-footed, left wing, striker potentially. Can interchange between the two. Very good at doing so. A very good, astute signing for PSG. Another really good forward, young as well, 20, 77 overall, can play on either flank, is Barcola. Now, there's been a few clips of him making mistakes here and there or not shooting when he's supposed to, but there's also been equally some really good clips of him showing off his talent and his skills. So again, if the likes of Mbappé does leave, you do have a really good, solid, young, fundamental core that you won't really feel the massive impact of Mbappé potentially leaving. Another few players here, Asensio recently signed, as well as Dembele. Now, of course, Dembele is the other superstar signing of the team. Of course, Mbappe and Dembele, a very good duo. Again, he could be the mainstay superstar of this team for the foreseeable future, especially if Mbappe does leave. And of course, he's got a very good, adequate backup rotational piece in the likes of Marco Asensio, who is 27. He does have a bit more of a leadership role in the side. But I think also a very good signing on a free as well. From the likes of PSG. As for Mbappe, speaking of which, he is in the final 12 months of his deal. Now, of course, we don't know what's going to happen. We've been in the same situation 4 times before. Is he going to Real Madrid? Is he staying at PSG? And more times than not, he ends up staying at PSG. But let me pose this question to you. If you sell him, would that be such a bad thing? We've already discussed most of this team. There are some really good young pieces that can come and step up, fulfill their potentials, and maybe look to try and fill the void of what Mbappe leaves in the PSG side. Or do you extend him and build with him and try and win that Champions League trophy that has eluded PSG for all these years? All this money spent and still no, Champions League trophy. Could you potentially do that? I'm not going to say whether he should stay or whether he should go. That's going to be completely up to you. But me personally, as a realistic approach, maybe he leaves. Maybe he leaves. I don't know. Into your striker, well, your strikers, we've got Mbappe, Kolo Muani, Gonçalo Ramos, and of course Ekitike. Now, 3 really good players recently signed as well. They can be the natural replacements for Mbappe in that front line as that striker. Kolo Muani, very, very good. 83 overall, only 24 years of age. Gonçalo Ramos, 80 overall, 22 years of age. A very good strike duo partnership that you could potentially run if you do run a front 2 system. Or potentially just as a rotational pair, you can have Gonçalo Ramos starting certain games, Kolo Muani, and of course, Hugo Ekitike. He is linked with a loan move away, obviously for developmental reasons, but again, he is 21 years of age. He is 75 overall. He does have a massive potential that he could look to try and fulfill with a PSG career mode. So yeah, that's just my assessment of the team going forward. Now, it wouldn't be a PSG career mode without any flashy signings. So, of course, recently they have said that they are looking for that young French approach, trying to sweep up as much good young French talent as they possibly can. So that could be a direction that you look into. Of course, Lenny Yoro linked with every club under the sun, mentioned in countless of these types of videos. But I think he would be a very good signing for PSG. Of course, he is 17. He is a centre-back. You have 5 really good centre-backs. Maybe you sign him up from Lille and then you loan him out for a season or 2, develop him and then bring him back, and he can be the natural potential replacement for the likes of a Marquinhos or maybe a Kimpembe. So it is an option that you can look to try and use. Onto your midfield area, of course, I have mentioned the likes of Soler and Renato Sanchez and all those types of players leaving. And 2 players that they have been linked with is Bruno Guimaraes as well as Bernardo Silva. Now, of course, Bernardo Silva is very accustomed to what the league can offer. Of course, coming from Monaco to Man City, winning it all with Man City, I think he would be a very good signing for the likes of PSG. Now, of course, there is rumors of a potential 50 million buyout clause or release clause in his contract, but I think that only really applies to Barcelona. I don't know why. But again, I don't think you can go wrong with either the likes of Bruno Guimaraes or potentially the likes of Bernardo Silva. Signing a superstar is very much in tune with what PSG tried to do in the transfer markets. Okay, now looking at the youth academy, I've only really gone for one particular place, and that is France. They have recently, of recent memories, they've signed some really good young superstar talents. I mean, Diaby is one, of course, leaving PSG, going to Bayer Leverkusen, establishing himself in the first team there, and then eventually, you know, making his way to Aston Villa. And I think he's a very good player. The likes of Kingsley Coman as well brings to mind, former, you know, PSG Youth Academy product, also a very good player out of the Youth Academy. So PSG, even though they sign all these superstar players, they are actually really good at scouting young French talents. So looking to more or less try and revert back into their good roots, trying to establish themselves in the Youth Academy system. Obviously looking to try and sweep up as much good young talent as they possibly can. Now, as for the other two potential scouts, I'm not exactly sure where they would go, as I haven't really heard many, you know, things about their youth systems and where they've set up and whatnot. So that can completely be up to you. Maybe scouting in you know, South America somewhere. We've seen a lot of these European giant clubs do so. So maybe looking for more of a South American approach, or potentially looking in Africa, looking at Morocco or Ivory Coast, or one of those, you know, areas that are producing some really good young talents at the moment. And then finally, we'll talk about the budget. Of course, money is never an issue with PSG, but if you would like, maybe don't try and spend too much. Maybe, you know, create those financial fair play parameters in your game. But you start off with around 264 million euros, and of course that will vary depending on your currency and if you buy scouts and whatnot. But maybe trying to, you know, spend only 100 million per season, or, you know, trying to implement factors like that, because essentially if you just buy everybody, it doesn't really make career modes that much enjoyable. And of course currently PSG are being slightly investigated by FFP, so like I say, you can look to try and implement parameters like financial fair play and so on into your game. So there you have it, people. That is how I would start off a realistic PSG career mode. If you have enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys tomorrow.